1/3 of all wrongful convictions is due to a false confession. Why on earth would anyone confess to a crime they didn't commit, risking life in prison or even a death sentence? Let's take a look at the psychological mechanisms behind false confessions. The aim of any interrogation is a confession. So far, so obvious. We've all seen interrogations on TV, and in reality they're actually fairly effective. About 60% of all suspects confess during police interviews in the UK, according to Moston et al. There are three main reasons why people give false confessions. The third one is still a huge problem, especially in the US, where it is illegal for the police to lie in interrogations. But more on that later. Let's first look at voluntary confessions, which already are quite bizarre. There are instances in which people confess to crimes they didn't commit, for no apparent reason. Like the case of Henry Lee Lucas, aka the Confession Killer. Now, he actually killed 3 people, one of which was his mother. But after being convicted, he confessed to hundreds of other murders in the 80s. Many unsolved cases in Texas were closed based on the confessions, and the murders officially attributed to Lucas. He was sentenced to death, but an investigation by the Dallas Times Herald showed it was impossible for Lucas to have committed many of the murders he confessed to. So why did he do it? Admit murders he didn't do, and thereby risk his own life. Later investigation showed that apparently trivial comforts such as steak dinners, milkshakes, and access to television encouraged him to confessions to crimes of extreme seriousness. In a way, the investigators rewarded every confession. And from his perspective, he had little to lose, as he was already imprisoned. But this system, rewards for confessions, also works the other way around, being responsible for far many more false confessions. One of the most infamous miscarriages of justice in the UK was the case of the Birmingham Six, where false confessions under pressure played a central role. In 1974, 2 pubs in Birmingham were bombed, killing 21 people. The IRA was suspected, and 6 Irish men were arrested while travelling to Belfast. After their arrest, they were brutally interrogated by the police and subjected to beatings, sleep deprivation, threats, and verbal abuse. Under this extreme pressure, 4 of the 6 signed confessions saying they were involved in the bombings. They were all convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment. Their confessions were treated as credible, despite the clear signs of abuse, and appeals were rejected for years. Of course, this is an extreme case. I mean, they were tortured essentially. Sleep deprivation alone is seen as a form of torture by the UN, for example. Some might think it's not a big deal, but for prolonged periods of time, it can severely affect a person's mental stability. After all, sleeping is a basic human need, that we all have to fulfill every bloody day for 8 hours. But also lesser forms create psychological pressure. I mean, think about it. Everything in this situation is designed to be uncomfortable, starting with the interrogation room. Cold lighting, hostile interior, policemen shouting at you. Being in this situation for many hours, some just want to escape it no matter how, and just confess to anything. But this goes even further, as sometimes people might even get convinced that they really did it. An experiment by Kessin and Keishel demonstrates how ordinary people can be forced into confessing to something they hadn't done. The Altkey experiment. Participants were instructed to type on a PC and to avoid pressing the Alt key on the keyboard. After some time, the PC crashes, and the participant is accused of pressing the Alt key. Now, they had two groups of participants doing this. One had to type slowly, and one fast. Surprisingly, even in the slow typing group, a third signed a document that stated they had pressed the Alt key and were responsible for the crash. In the fast typing group, it was 65%, so 2/3 of people who signed. But things really turned when they introduced a second person acting as a witness. This second person was of course briefed by the experimenters and confirmed that the participant had pressed the Alt key. Now, 90% of the slow typing group signed the confession, and everyone, 100% of the fast typing group signed. By establishing a witness, the experimenters increased the social pressure. Of that 100%, 2/3 later said they really believed they had pressed the Alt key. So, in lab settings, false confessions are quite easy to create. Now, of course, the real world is a bit more complex, but the underlying mechanisms are the same. The story of the Birmingham Six highlights another essential point. Confessions have a heavy weight in court. If the suspect confessed that he did it, who would question it? It's the ultimate evidence. The ultimate goal is to get a confession. This is the big problem, and why researchers like Saul Kassan find that juries are influenced by confessions even if they know it was obtained by coercion and deemed as not admissible in court. Even other forensic evidence, like unclear fingerprints, might be reinterpreted against the suspect once there is a confession. Then, it's hard to go back. This brings us to the last origin of false confessions, which kind of works in combination with the psychological pressure. The police lying in interrogations. Now, remember, almost every interrogation creates psychological pressure. Every aspect is designed to make the suspect uncomfortable, or in our case, the wrongfully accused suspect. It's immense stress that the person is experiencing in this situation, and add to that the fact that in the US there is no legal time limit to interrogations, so they can last up to several hours. In many wrongful conviction cases, 12 to 24 hours. It might be combined with sleep deprivation as well. So, here comes the trick. After the suspect had to endure this for several hours, the police might say something like, "You know, we've just gotten the info. We have irrefutable DNA evidence proving that you did it. The evidence will arrive tomorrow, so just confess now and it will be seen favorably." Now, the suspect, just wanting to escape this distressing situation, might actually admit to the crime for now, thinking that this irrefutable DNA analysis coming in tomorrow will prove his innocence. Yet, there never was any. And remember, once there is a confession, it's hard to go back. As we've seen, false confessions aren't the result of stupidity or guilt, but often of psychological vulnerability, coercive tactics, and a justice system that still places far too much faith in confessions, and that's what makes them dangerous. Innocent people can and do confess under pressure, and the legal system isn't always equipped to recognize that. Or worse, once a confession is made, everything else, even the evidence, can start to conform to it.